In Title Update 10, one of the main headlines is PvP weapon balancing and time to kill changes. While a lot of these weapons have received global PvE buffs, their PvP modifiers have reduced some of them to a state of humility, while also reducing some skill damage by 75%, which is a major reduction and something that a lot of people have been calling for. Please know that a lot of these PvP implementations are subject to change based on your own feedback and playthrough of the PTS. I highly doubt that people will complain about PvE buffs, but PvP is something that I hope Conflict and DZ players pay attention to and find the reason to participate in this test server. Your response will determine phase 2 of the PTS and the TU10 release of these changes. So, with that said, let's get started. First thing to note is that the global PvP weapon change will reduce every weapon by 20%. This is something that is great when it comes to time to kill, and this is after adding whatever buffs or nerfs they received in PvE. Because the sandbox is not separated, you will have to always base PvP damage on PvE damage. With the global PvP nerfs, the MMR class are the only ones getting a damage buff in PvP, and this is because MMRs are the least used weapon in PvP, and the reason for that is none other than the fact that they have too much bloom, stability and accuracy can be bad, and some of them have a very low RPM that just makes them non-competitive. A 12% damage buff will likely force more people to check out how this weapon performs in PvP situations. Now when it comes to assault rifles, those will be getting a PvP weapon nerf of 15%, but they are still going to be powerful based on the stats and what the developers themselves have confirmed. The devs noted that assault rifles have health damage, and that is not a big factor in PvP when you compare them to other weapons. However, this small nerf will give other weapons a chance to compete. And speaking of other weapons, SMGs are getting a 10% PvP nerf, and rifles are getting a 5% PvP nerf. Also note that this rifle nerf is an addition to the classic M1A's 12.6% PvE nerf and the bonus 5% PvP nerf. So M1A classics seem to be getting a full face blow when it comes to this PTS in TU10. It is going to be fairly okay in PvE, but in PvP is going to require 3 to 4 shots to kill a target with over 1 million armor, and that is one of the things that a lot of people were probably looking for as well. Next, we have the double barrel shotguns, including the sawed-off versions that we use as our sidearms. Those will be getting 20% PvP buff, making them a perfect stopper for a lot of players who rush. I know a lot of people have had several builds for these weapons, but they haven't received their final forms yet. However, with this buff, they're going to be crazy powerful in PvP, and the perfect thing considering that they have a very low RPM to begin with. So what about the bane of this current sandbox? The pestilence, the true patriot, negotiators, dynasty, bleeds and seekers. Well, we're going to start with the pestilence. The exotic LMG is getting a 10% PvP nerf, and the plague of the outcast perk no longer triggers the white buff on true patriot in both PvP and PvE. This may be a sad news for PvE, however in PvP this is actually very good, because most true patriot combos will now require actual bullet hits to get the armor repair. This means you can't just hit players and run for cover, and that is one of the things that I'm really excited to see. Negotiators Dilemma will be getting a nerf to the Ulster Negotiator range in PvP as well. This will stop the thing that people do in the Dark Zone where they shoot you and run to another landmark and shoot enemies to kill you. This also means that if you get hit with negotiators, all you have to do is back off or run from said player, and the perks will not kill you if you do that. For conflict matches, a team wipe can also be easily avoided, especially if you have a teammate that keeps rushing in. Their downfall will no longer be your own demise. So I see this range nerf to negotiators in PvP as a necessary one. Imperial Dynasty will also be getting its own change. This change will require line of sight to work. This will also require 3-second activation. In addition to this, there will be a visual indicator for players to avoid a Dynasty player. This means that you can't just hide behind walls and burn the players on the other side. You will have to maintain a line of sight for at least 3 seconds, and they will be able to see it and avoid it. As far as skills go, Stinger hives, mortar turrets, explosive seeker mines will be receiving a 75% nerf to their bleed damage. This will help against DZ checkpoint campers. This will also be quite instrumental in conflict matches where people just toss hives around. 75% nerf is not going to destroy the skill, but it will give other people a chance to fight or even run through it, and give hazard protection builds more potency. Now, these nerfs are not going to be end of this crazy metas in PvP, because the new gear pieces and the exotics look to be replacing them. With further feedback and testing though, we can get them balanced. So if you want to play PvP and you're looking at some of these things, you need to participate in this PTS, check it out, and let the developers know what you like and what you don't like. Anyways, let me know what changes you guys are happy about and which ones didn't impress you at all. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.